Usually, I would agree with you in music in general, but when it comes to looping, it can be a little more obvious when I make a mistake. But it's kind of like, well, I have all these parts going at once, and then something just ends up going. I'm not promoting myself very well here, but like sometimes one of the parts will be off, or I'll start looping like a shorter segment than I meant to, and it clashes with everything else, and I have to stop it and re-record. And so it's like I cover it up a lot when people can't notice. But like maybe one time every other show, I do like there's something where I have to like stop and go back, and I'm like, okay, everybody, you're witnessing live looping.
That's right.
This is what happens. And they usually clap and smile, and so it's fine. It's been good for me to just be able to perform and not worry so much about like, oh, people can tell I made a mistake. It's not the end of the world. So.
Hey, it's all in fun. After a while, we've had a couple of years. It's all
right. That too.
Yeah, I've attended a lot of the small venues you've been at, and I think I came across a few mutual friends. That's how you got here.
Uh-huh.
But for those that don't know you, can you give a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure. Let's see. I don't know where to start. I was in Santa Cruz for 15 years before I moved to San Francisco about 5 years ago, and I was doing a lot of music down there, and I played a lot of venues around there. I did some tours across the country. Eventually, I decided to go to Europe, and I ended up, I don't know, this story could go on forever, so I'm like, well, what should I say?
We'll do the short version.
The short version. So I went to Europe, and through a series of events, I ended up meeting like a band in France who wanted to play with me. And we ended up playing together. It was amazing. And then I came back to California, and I was in Santa Cruz again. And then I decided it was so great in France that I would go back. And so I put all my stuff in storage. I'm talking about how I ended up moving to San Francisco. I put all my stuff in storage. And with plans to, like, after Europe and playing with the band in France, I would just land in San Francisco. And that's, like, how I would move here, basically. So I did that. I ended up going on a 4-month tour that included some of Europe and playing with the band in France again. And I came back, and I landed in San Francisco. It's basically how I moved here, which is kind of was interesting to me. It was like I moved here via France from Santa Cruz.
Wow.
It was really fun. It was good, and I've been here about 5 years, and I've been playing my music still. I have 6 albums now, and one with the band in France. The most recent one is a live looping. And now I'm playing with the band Amy and the Elements that I developed in San Francisco. That's like takes my music to a more rockin' level. Like we're upbeat and fun and get people dancing, which is really fun for me because I haven't really done that. I'm usually like really melancholy. You can tell from my voice probably and the music that was playing.
But that's the Bay Area. They like to
jam out, right?
That's right. But I was noticing the different band names, and I was wondering what that was about. Because you had the Elements, then another one said the Carbone Band. And I was like,
what's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mix things up a lot recently anyway. Like, hopefully it's not too confusing. But either way, I'm part of the whole thing. I'm always there, so you just follow Amy Obenski. You kind of, experience all the things I'm doing. But it's all like my songs. I'm not in a cover band or doing anything like that, which is also great, but it's just not what I'm doing. So any format you find me in, it's still me playing my songs.
Yeah, so you've been recording all of this by yourself and writing everything.
I've been writing everything. The last album was recorded by me. I have some equipment and I recorded all what you heard, what you were playing. That was recorded with my equipment. So I recorded it all and mixed it, and then I just needed a mastering person. And I'm talking like audio jargon now, so I don't know how much we want to get into that, but I like the audio stuff. So.
Well, that's cool. I see a lot of artists doing that now, and I think, sometimes that's the way to go. You don't got to worry about all the other crap that goes along with being attached to, the major label.
Yeah, there are benefits and drawbacks, major labels, and I can't really talk about it because I'm not on one, haven't been on one, but I think a lot of the time they're just trying to take advantage of you, and artists end up more poor than they were to begin with, maybe a little more famous, more poor.
That seems to be the process with some. It just depends on who you hook up with, I think.
Yeah, you have to read the contract very carefully and get a lawyer, and so that's my little tidbit of advice for musicians.
Read the small print, people. Don't just look at the glitz and glamour. Read the small print.
Yeah.
And one other thing I noticed, you play the keyboards and the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
You have any other instruments you play?
Not really. I mean, when I'm doing the looping, I'm playing the keyboard and guitar, and then I turn the guitar into like a bass, so I play bass lines on the guitar. But people like have seen me looping and they're like, oh, you play all kinds of things, but I don't think I really do. I think it's just, if you play guitar, you can do like simple bass lines. It's kind of inherent because they're similar instruments, and I do some percussion. I have rhythm, so I can play a drum a little bit, or play percussion, and that just comes with having a musical background. So
fiddle around with this and that to get the sounds you need.
Yeah. I do a little beatboxing. It's not very good beatboxing, but it's enough to. I do it on those recordings, and apparently no one's complained. So
hey, it works.
It's not the kind you're used to hearing, where it's like hip hop beatboxing,
Yeah, I know some of those guys make it sound like they're on the turntables and everything, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's impressive. And they do it all at once. So. I use the looper, so it makes my beatboxing sound more impressive. Because I can record like little bits at a time, and at the end it sounds like a professional beatboxer.
Yeah. So. Well, this is G's Chill Lounge with your host, Gina Alexander. Today we're featuring the music of Amy Obenski, and she's here to talk with us, and we'll get to know her and her music. Hi, Amy. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
And we were just playing Emptiness to Fill and Carousel. You want to talk about those?
Yeah, I can say a little bit about those songs. Let me think about this. And Emptiness to Fill was the first one. I really like that song. It's I could talk a little bit about what it's about. I mean, originally it's kind of like a song about a breakup, but it's I like to have songs have more meaning, like more than one meaning to them. So it really it started off like being, when I wrote it, it was like the saddest song in the world. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna play this song for people. They're gonna be crying, and it's gonna be this is how the song's gonna be, because it says how does this song go? There will always be an emptiness to fill, which can be taken a couple different ways.
Yeah.
It can be really sad, but I also think after I wrote the song, and then it was like spinning around in my head for a while. Like after I write a song, it plays on like a non-stop loop in my head. Kind of like when you get a song stuck in your head.
Yeah.
Except it's like my own song. So the song transformed in my mind from something that was really sad to something like more like a celebratory, upbeat, like foot stomping type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized because sometimes songs will help me realize things, like my own songs will kind of help me through my own processes in life. So then it went from this sad thing to like, well, you know, more of a general, like, for everyone and for myself included, I'm always gonna feel like there's some kind of emptiness to fill in my life that needs filling, like with a, you know, an activity or a person or like, I don't know, beer. I have no idea, but you know, everybody has their vices to try to like fill some kind of void. But that void will never actually go away, and that instead we can just celebrate it being there, kind of a thing.
Yeah, but like the way you're explaining it, everybody can relate to it in some way.
Yeah.
It's just different kinds of voids.
Right, different kind of voids for everybody. So I try to get that song to start off kind of solemn and then to end up with a little more like enlightening, upbeat feel to mirror my own progress in that song. It's kind of a revelation for me at the time, and then so Carousel I wrote a really long time ago. It was probably 15 years ago that I wrote that song. And the song's a bit complex, but I tend to be really reflective, my thinking, and especially when I'm songwriting, I'll just kind of sit and be with my thoughts and my feelings, and then the stuff comes out as far as the song, and so the song Carousel starts with spinning. The words are like spinning carousel returns the same old horse again, and what I'm actually referring to is my thoughts, which is I think everyone can relate that, like, you notice that your thoughts just keep bringing back the same themes a lot of the time, and sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, like, can I just like get off that thing that just keeps coming back around? There it is again. So I'm being a bit analytical with my own thinking in that song, and it's like a self-exploratory. On the looping one, it ends with like, who am I today? That's like the question it keeps ending with, and it's a a little bit about that song. That song was actually on Grey's Anatomy. The original version, which I recorded in like 2006, was on the show Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, there was a mention about that. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You know, now when I'm watching the old reruns, I'm like,
the episode's called Love/Addiction, and I think it's on season 3. Might be episode 4. I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, because when I'm working at home, I have a bad habit of getting looped into those from time to time. But, you know, we all have our little things there. Yeah. But I noticed the killer artwork on the CD jacket. And how did that come about? Where did you just have some artistic friends that were like, this will be cool for your CD cover?
Thank you. Well, I actually do have a lot of artistic friends. And there's a really big story behind that. First of all, the artwork was done by Elizabeth Moonrose, who lives in Watsonville, California.
Hi, I can get it out and show it on the camera.
I don't know if she's listening. She might be. You're going to show it to the...
Yes, I'm going to put it on the camera.
I'll just keep talking while you show it. So, and the story behind the artwork is because the album's called An Emptiness to Fill, I decided to make a coloring book to go along with the album. Because it was right during the whole like adult coloring book craze.
Cool, huh? And there she is. See?
Yeah, so people were getting really into adult coloring books, and I was like, I want to make one, and it really went with the theme of the album and emptiness to fill. I'm like, oh, we can color. So what I did was I released a coloring book with the album, and I in the process of making it, I put like a request for art submissions to everyone, basically, my fan list and all my friends, and I asked them to pick a song of mine that they wanted to have the art go with, so they could choose. And so I got a bunch of submissions, and I took most of them. I actually put most of them in there. And a lot of the people in there are my friends. Some of the people were people I just met who are now my friends. So the artwork, that's how we got the artwork for the coloring book. And I think I put 3 in there of my own that I drew. And then what happened is when we made the album cover, we decided to just use the art from the coloring book to make the album artwork, because it makes sense and they go together, so it worked out that way.
It was just different than the usual, there's some scenery, a person in front of their piano or walking on the beach, it was
I have my guitar and I'm walking through a field,
yeah.
and the wind is blowing.
I've seen that.
I'm looking forlorn. Yeah. It's pretty typical.
Yeah. And so, what do you think your next project will be like? Different styles? Different sounds?
Well, I think I'm not going to branch out to anything new stylistically anytime soon, because I feel like the stuff I'm doing is still pretty new and people are trying to catch up. Like, what are you doing now? And the looping's been going really well. People are really liking it and coming back to hear more and bringing their friends, and so that's been really cool. So I think I'm going to do a lot more of that this year. I'm actually doing a tour in August where I go to through Utah, Wyoming, Montana, Washington, Oregon, California, and I'm going to be looping most of the time, I think.
That's big. We're going to have to help you promote that a little bit.
Please. I will take help. And thinking about recording the band too. Doing both at the same time is a bit juggling, but I have to figure out how to do that. So.
Yeah, unfortunately we can't clone ourselves, and you be in the studio and you still tour and
yeah, that would be
you
nice.
sit at a desk and write.
Right. And I still have to write songs through all this. So.
Right.
Well, I don't have to, I guess. Yeah.
So what other, besides Bottom of the Hill, dates that you have going on here in San Francisco?
Well, in San Francisco, let's see. I'm actually thinking about what's going on. I'm doing a little looping, actually, not quite in San Francisco, but up in Fairfax, for anyone who lives up in the North Bay. I'm doing that on February 18th, up at 19 Broadway, which is kind of a cool spot. So I'll be doing the looping up there on that date, and then I will be back. It's kind of seems kind of far away, but in March 24th, I'll be with the band again at El Rio, different location.
Well, let everybody know what your website and social media is, so they can keep up with you.
Okay, I'll tell you right now. So my website's amyobenski.com. I should spell my last name because it's a bit confusing. So it's O, B as in boy, E-N-S-K-I. So that's my main website, and if you just look up my name online, you can pretty much find me on any of your favorite websites or streaming platforms. I'm on Spotify. I have a Facebook page, iTunes, all that business.
Yeah, all of your social media.
Yeah. I think I'm not on Snapchat and
Yeah.
some of those other ones, but
Yeah. And tell us about your experience touring overseas. Was that a lot different from over here?
Well, kind of. It was different because, well, it's different for a lot of reasons. I did some touring. I spent a lot of time in France with the Carbon band. It's like the Carbon band. Anyway, and we ended up doing an artist in residence together. So we played with a whole string ensemble of students, and one of the professors there wrote parts for the string ensemble to go with a few of my songs. And then the end of the project was to perform in an auditorium with the students.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really cool. There's stuff online you can find of me performing in France in a big auditorium with a string ensemble. It's pretty surreal for me, actually. It was pretty cool. And mostly in France, it was that it was really the people. They took me in and they housed me and fed me and played music with me and booked some shows for me, and it was just
nice.
like I really felt like a queen, a little bit of a queen.
Wow.
Really well taken care of. So that was nice, and perhaps it's just because when you're in France, being from California is really exotic. When you're in California,
That's true.
being from California, kind of.
Yeah, over there, and then again.
Yeah,
Again.
especially from California. They really like Californians, so.
Yeah. But yeah, the consensus is people feel like they get a better reception in Europe and here. Not that, over here everybody's just like dead or anything, but they just seem to feel like they get a better reception over there.
Well, I think I can say some stuff about that. But I feel like here, majority of the population gets really wrapped up in like the latest popular music.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And whoever's popular at the time, whoever's selling out huge venues, and I'm not sure where they're hearing them. It's not necessarily mainstream radio anymore, but it might be Spotify and things like that. But
Right.
they're hearing it from their friends and sometimes mainstream radio. But so people are more into like the popular band that they've heard of, that everyone's listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning usually like worldwide touring artists with huge followings, and they go to huge festivals with like the famous people up on the stage, and I think part of that's like just the American thing, like it's just what we do here. We idolize musicians and artists, and I think in Europe, or at least in France, they seem to be more open to music that maybe they haven't heard of, or people who aren't famous yet who play music, or and supporting that and recognizing that it's all the same. It's not like one's better than the other.
Yeah, because here you get the indie versus mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's always maybe that one or two indie acts that end up in the mainstream.
Right. Yeah, and there are certain types of people who will follow local music and follow the local bands and get really into it, and I have a lot of respect for everyone who does that. It's awesome. Thank you. And And then I think there are other people who might not be listening right now, unfortunately, who don't do that and have no idea who's playing, who the local bands are, and only listen to like Madonna.
I get what you
I don't know.
mean.
I don't have a problem with Madonna, but anyway.
Yeah, but I know
I don't know
saying,
who's Liz, the Killers or something like that. So
you know, just the top of the chart people that sometimes are in heavy rotation. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
You can't get away from them for one thing.
Right.
For those just tuning in, we have special guest Amy Obenski on G's Chill Lounge on Radio Valencia in San Francisco. Amy,
hello.
we just played Waves of Moments and I Wish You Were a Window.
Mm-hmm.
How did those come about?
Well, Waves of Moments is another really old song of mine. It's like 15 years older. Something crazy. Maybe a little less than that, but Waves of Moments is, I really like that song. It's, you know, like everybody has goals. It's usually at some point in their life they have a goal, like they'll graduate from college, or they'll get married, or graduate from high school, or have a baby, or, you know, various goals that we have, get their dream job. And it's like you think when you get that thing that everything's going to be different in your life. Like, you just need to get to that point and everything's going to change. And usually you do that, you get to that point, the thing happens, and then like the next day you're like, oh, okay, everything's back to normal. It's like everything, you know, nothing actually changed really. I mean, the events of your life might be different slightly. You might make more money now or whatever,
Yeah.
but things, generally, it's the same. Like, you ask people after they've gotten married, like, how's marriage? And they're like, you know, pretty much the same. And so I think we're always looking forward to the next event, but at the same time, it's just, there's not a lot to be fulfilled in that. Like, there's in the chorus of that song, I'm really talking about, I say, I could practice satisfaction with every move that I have. My dreams fulfilled this very moment, no better place than where I am. So it's like, instead of thinking I need to attain this thing and fulfill my dreams or like get somewhere, like working on accepting that you have everything that you want right now. Like that. So that's what that song's about. Yeah, that song really works with the looping because it matches the theme in the song really well, and then it has that trippy vibe. And then the other song, "I Wish You Were a Window," is it's kind of like about those relationships that I think everyone's experienced, where you like really want someone to like kind of set you free, but they're not. I mean, really, that's nobody's job anyway. But they're not, and instead there's kind of like conflict, and you're hitting a wall, and it's instead of like them setting you free, you're like, oh,
what is this person thinking?
Confused, and everything's falling apart, and you're like, this isn't what I imagined. You know, so it's about that. It's a poetic way of saying that, you know, I wish you were a window.
I like it. 'Cause to me, it felt like, you know, I'm not a mind reader. I wish I were, so I can figure out my next step.
Yeah, sometimes it's, you know, lots of relationships can be really challenging. So and of course, we all want them to be like
wonderful.
Freedom, like, you know, my life's amazing now.
Every day is Valentine's Day.
It's fixed everything. Totally not going to happen, really, and not the job of the other person anyway.
No.
But, so that's a bit about that song.
But more about music, like before the break we were talking about, kind of like Bay Area, I guess, indie versus mainstream.
Right.
And we were talking about how sometimes it seems like people aren't open to anything new. They just want to jump on the good old mainstream bandwagon.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's like a tendency in the U.S. to feel like a band is validated when they are popular, and they're playing the big venues, and you've heard of their song before, you know, then they're validated as good musicians and a good band to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they are a great band, and you should totally listen to them. Like I listen to some very popular, like I like Radiohead, and you know, and if you go back in time, I'm a huge Prince fan. So you know, I'm not saying that stuff isn't good sometimes, but I think there's also just a lot of local music that's just as good as the validated big mainstream bands.
Yes, support indie folks.
And we just don't know about it because we're not paying attention. And I think there's an assumption by a lot of people that local music isn't very good, and they're like a little afraid they'll go out and they won't like it and they'll be stuck there. Which,
no way.
You know, I mean, yeah, there might be some circumstances where you go and see a band that you've never heard of and you hate it, but it's like, so what? It's not the end of the world.
That has happened.
You know?
You go to see a band you like, but the band that opens for them, ugh.
Yeah, that happens. Or sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes you went to see the opening band and you're not crazy about the headliner.
Yeah, that's true. I've done that too, where the opening is who you really wanted to see, and then you're like, well, you paid this money, let's see the headliner too.
Mm-hmm.
And you weren't as happy with them.
Yeah, and I recently went to see someone very popular. I'm not gonna say who it was, but I saw someone very popular who I actually spent way more money than I normally do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't usually go to these big, expensive concerts because I'd rather just go, pay $10 to $20 to see my local band. I'm like, it's just as fun, sometimes more fun, and I spend less money, and it's great.
Yeah, that's why you should go to the bottom of the hill on Sunday. Check out Amy.
Yeah, so I'm playing on Sunday. At the bottom of the hill with my band, and it's I checked out the other bands that are playing, and I really like them, so I think it's going to be a great night.
Yeah, so give them all the info, time, everything.
Oh, okay. The music starts at 8:30. The doors open at 8, and the first band's Uncle Rifkin. They play like Americana rock. It's really cool, like chill rock that's like acoustic. That's what Americana means, not everybody knows. And I really like their music. And then we're playing second, we're Amy and the Elements. It's like funk rock, sometimes little bits of reggae, sometimes a little bit of acoustic stuff in there. And then the headlining band is Skunk, which they do like, I know, their name is Skunk. So anyway, wonder, they don't smell, I don't think, and but they do sound really good, and it's their vinyl release party, and their music is kind of like the bill is really eclectic, because their music is a little more like the sound of Led Zeppelin. So it's gonna be ramping up through the night. It starts with like an acoustic rock, and then we play. It's a little bit of funk rock, like a little jammy, and and then all the way to Led Zeppelin style kind of thing. So the more you want to party, the later you should stay. It's gonna be fun.
Very cool, very cool. I like it. And one other thing I wanted to. Oh wow, am I getting that old already? I lost my thought. But it was more along the lines of the music again. But how many of those are you doing now where you're the main?
Like, how many shows am I doing where
Featuring Amy.
Amy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this show we're in we're the middle spot.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Like,
Yeah.
how many are we the featured act and not
Yeah.
like some minor thing?
Yeah, they're not pushing you back there somewhere.
Well, I mean, I want to say most of them, but we usually play for at least 45 minutes. It depends. Like the way it kind of works in the music industry is like, or the local music industry is like, your the amount of people that will come to see you, right, is shows like where you are in the bill. So if you're, going to bring in the most people, you headline, and then it goes down from there. Like whoever's going to bring in a little less goes before them, and whoever brings in the least amount of people goes first. But sometimes it's mixed up a little bit, but if I'm playing a big space, like a more popular venue, then I might be closer to the beginning of the bill. But if I'm playing a small space, then I might be headlining because for that space I'm the headliner, right? I'll fill the place up. It's kind of weird how that works. But.
Yeah, it's funny when you said that. I just remembered Octopus Lounge.
Oh wow, yeah, I can headline Octopus Lounge. It's called a lounge usually.
Everybody headlines Octopus Lounge.
That's true. That's kind of how it works. I played some shows at Doc's Lab, which is a really great spot. I don't know if they're going to continue having music, so we have to check that out. But I did some headlining shows at Doc's Lab, and that was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's kind of. I mean, I don't often get like pushed to the point of unmentioned on the bill. That doesn't really happen.
Of course not.
But it just keeps changing,
What about festivals, things like that?
Festivals. I would love to play more festivals. So I actually don't have a lot going on festival-wise. They can be really tricky to get into. Like you need to know the right people. So if any of you know the right people, please get in touch with me. But
hey, outside lands, you hear us?
Yeah, like the application process can be a bit, yeah. Usually you apply and your application just gets lost.
Oh,
Or nobody really looks at it because they already know who they want to have play at the festival, Which I'm not. It might not be the case. Maybe somebody will look at my application.
Yeah, there's just so many submissions. And
yeah, it's a lot of submissions.
It's hard. I'd hate to be the person that has to go through all those.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes they don't. That's the thing.
Yeah, like you said, they already have in their mind, we want this person. But, they're usually picked, like, there's always like a big name or two for each day.
Right.
You gotta have people to play the rest of the day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, I'm playing a festival in like Salt Lake City in August, so
hey,
it's something. It's gonna be good. But yeah, right now, I don't think I have anything locally as a festival-wise, but something will probably happen at some point. It's just not scheduled.
Yeah. And you know what? It's almost 3:30 already. See how fast that flew? Hello, everybody. We're down to the last half hour, and this is G's Chill Lounge with your host, Gina Alexander. Amy, you want to say hello to everybody again?
Hello, hi everyone. I'm still here.
And for those of you who are just tuning in, Amy's going to be at Bottom of the Hill. You want to give that info out one more time?
Sure. So Bottom of the Hill this Sunday. Doors open at 8. My band's called Amy and the Elements. And the other bands are Uncle Rifkin and Skunk is playing. The music starts at 8:30. I think that's it. I mean, it's going to be 12 at the door. You might need to make sure you have money. You can find me at amyobenski.com. Or you can just go to the Bottom of the Hill website and you can get your tickets in advance there.
Yeah, it's a good idea to get them in advance.
Yeah, I have no idea. It might sell out. I don't know what's going to happen. So.
Well, it should now.
It
We're
should.
talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the last two songs we played were Rainbow and Gravity. So that those have a specific way of coming to be, or?
Yeah, kind of every song has somewhat of a story, I think. So it's interesting to talk about the stories of the songs when I'm not playing them, because I feel like I can say more. If I'm about to sing the song, I'm like, let me tell you about the song that I'm about to sing. Like, why don't I just sing the song? Anyway, so Rainbow was the first one. That one is really, I do a lot of these like super introspective songs. That one's really looking at, I think everyone can relate to it. You're just kind of looking around, searching kind of for something that's gonna be different or change your life in some way. There's kind of like an ongoing theme in a lot of my songs. And then, but you could look around and look around in all these places more externally to try to fulfill you. But it's so much cheesier when I explain this song, like without the song. It's like the chorus of the song is like, I look inside and all I find is love, right? So I say that and I'm like, oh my god, it's so cheesy. But in the context of the song, it really, I think it works really well. And then at one point in the song, it's like, now why would I want more to find than love? So it's like that. The song's really about that question, I think. Like, why would I like keep looking for something else other than that? Like, it should be enough, you know.
Yeah.
So that's about that song.
Well, that was your question when you were writing.
Yeah, and I think there isn't more, or you know, don't necessarily want more than that. But sometimes it can be a little difficult to just sit within, be satisfied. So, yeah, and the second song is Gravity. I actually wrote that song while I remember writing that song because sometimes songs just pop into my head.
Mm-hmm.
It's like kind of the preferred way for me. It's better than sitting and staring and waiting for a song to waiting for me to come up with something.
Uh-huh.
I was on tour, and it was like 2007 or something. It was 10 years ago. On tour, and I was driving in the Pacific Northwest from somewhere around Tacoma, Seattle, somewhere between those places, and I think it's the Cascade Mountains. You can see it's a very drastic landscape. You'll be driving and then all of a sudden there's like a white capped mountain in the distance and it just came out of nowhere, and it's very dramatic, and I feel like the song ended up sounding like the landscape without me trying to do that. It kind of happens generally a lot of songs end up sounding like what the song is about. Like the music captures what the song is about or where it was written, even without really trying to do that. It just kind of naturally occurs. People tell me, like, oh, it sounds like that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I didn't really do that on purpose, but I guess that's what happens. The main, like, that song is complex. the lyrically complex, but the end of the chorus is like, I know I keep quoting myself, it seems kind of odd, but the end of the chorus is like, us being here is no accident, that's what I say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that encompasses the whole song, basically saying that everything you've done at this point in your life led you to this moment, and I don't think it's really an accident. I think like me being here with you right now it's all happening for a reason. I don't understand it. but that's what it is. So.
Yeah. And one other thing is, do you see yourself working with other artists in the future?
With other artists?
Mm-hmm.
That's quite the question.
Was it indie or who knows? That mainstream person's like, that voice!
The
We
mainstream.
need her! No, but like, you know, it could be a collab with another indie person or...
I'm open to all kinds of things like that. I haven't done a lot of collaborative songwriting, like co-writing. I did one song with the band from France, a Carbon band, where we collaborated. And that song came out really well. It was a great song. It's a great song called Fly.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
So that's my only co-written song, and I'm open to co-writing, but my main thing is like I really like to play music with other people. It can be their song, it can be my song, but like just doing different styles or even playing somebody else's music with them. You know, singing harmony is, I love singing harmony. It's one of my favorite things to do in the whole world. So singing harmonies or playing backup instruments with somebody else. I'm open to all kinds of things. I don't know what I would, I don't have anything in the works for that, but I'm open to it.
Do you have like a dream collaboration?
A dream collaboration. I really wanted to be one of Prince's backup singers.
Who doesn't?
It's not going to happen, unfortunately. That was kind of the big thing that I was upset about. When I found out he died, I was like, oh, I'm never going to meet him, and I'm never going to be his backup singer.
Yeah.
But so I'm not really sure what the second dream would be. I have to think about that.
Prince, come back.
I know. It's sad.
Yeah.
But yes, there are plenty of other extremely talented artists that I just don't know yet that I need to find.
You'll find
that I
each
can
other.
sing backup for, so I'll find someone.
Yeah. And yeah, you might even they might end up singing one of your songs.
Yeah.
That's a
You did
possibility.
Yeah, I've had a few people who like my music say like, oh, can I cover your song? I'm always like, yeah, of course, play my song.
Yeah, I think
Nice.
that's the biggest compliment.